That's Matt Daniels. He's the special teams coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. His assistant, Ben Kotwika, they're both in their first years here. Matt came from the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, the only way for me to put it is sometimes when the special teams is out there, I mean, you got to be on the edge of your seat. It's like the wild, wild west. It's something different every single week. And, you know, now you got blocked field goals, fake punts, 5-for-5 kickers. Chris Boyd's making plays. You and Ben just have to be having the greatest time teaching people who are receptive to being taught.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing the feedback that we get from these guys. And you know, me and Coach Kotwika are big on, please, if you guys have an idea, please voice it to us. And those guys have taken it and ran with it. You know, a lot of the ideas or the schemes or the concepts that we're coming up with is them bouncing ideas off of us. And I believe in a collaborative effort at the end of the day. And that's me collaborating with Coach Kotwika, and that trickles down into our players. And we're constantly bouncing ideas off one another and making sure that the guys are that the game plan is thorough and they completely understand what their job responsibility is. And if they don't feel comfortable in it, well, then we adjust it. And, you know, we're always trying to find ways to put guys in the best position to make plays at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this old dog right here likes learning new tricks. And, you know, we're in London at Tottenham Hotspur. The analyst Pete Bursich, you know, who played in the league and coached in the league, one of your early punts, maybe your first one, I believe it was your right gunner, who came running you did something different, okay?
Yeah, so we call that a short motion.
There we go. Yeah. And he pointed it out and kind of like something's coming, you know, because people think, okay, set up plays, we're going to set that up on offense and then get something in the third quarter defense. And people don't think about it with special plays until 83's out there, nobody knows it, and it's a fake punt.
Right.
Did Ryan Wright, who was a quarterback in Northern California for the final 2 years of his high school run and at California High School in San Ramon, where, interestingly, Sean Mannion went to high school. So would Ryan be peppering you to be like, Coach, I can throw. I can throw.
Nah, so that was so let's just kind of rewind all the way back to April. Throughout the draft process. I reached out to Mr. Wright, I want to say right around March, maybe April, just kind of going through it when, you know, we were looking to bring in a second guy to compete with Jordan Berry. And, you know, obviously the leg talent was there, but I was specifically looking for a punter who did have the ability to throw the football.
Yeah.
And so I did my research and found that he was a high school 3-star quarterback coming out, threw for over 3,000 yards. And so my antennas immediately went up with like, okay, well, we got a guy who does have an NFL leg, but also has the ability to throw, because in 2012, I came in as an undrafted rookie with Johnny Hecker.
Hey.
And so I, you know, was, you know, back then, you know, Hecker, we was throwing fakes, you know, all this and that. And, you know, now you start to see that the punter, his ability to throw the football is a weapon. And what it does to opponents, the way they have to plan, the way they have to kind of turn it to more of a defensive stay type of look rather than pressuring us from a punt return standpoint, well, now the advantage goes to the punt team. And so when you're able to add that element of the punter being able to throw the football, well, now it turns into the opponents are more concerned with just getting the football back rather than rushing you or trying to flip the field and all that kind of stuff. And so for us to be able to add that element and put that on tape, you know, it adds a different dimension to what we're going to be able to do.
No doubt about it. And, you know, with Greg Joseph, he's still, at least with me, or what the perception of what we see, he can be steely and he can be stoic and he's kind of a quiet
guy. He's a very
guy.
stoic. G-Money is very stoic.
Right,
very
and he goes 5 for 5 in that game in London. And, you know, you said into the season, I'll never forget when you said it. I hadn't met you yet. You said he's going to have the best season of his career. And then I'm like, whoa. I mean, it's like if coaches truly believe that, they rarely say it.
Yeah.
So, like, what were some things you saw at that stage?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I saw was just the process. And, you know, we talked a lot kind of looking at last year when I first got here. I brought Greg in, sat down, showed him kind of the numbers of what he did last year in clutch situations, how he was performing, you know, the Arizona kick, the missed PAT that he had whenever, I can't remember what game it was. And, you know, I just flat out just kind of told him straight up, you know, in these critical situations where, you know, the team may need you the most, you know, this is kind of where not necessarily you folded, but maybe something was off for you. And so we kind of had a conversation on what his process process was, because I'm always big on, get into, because everyone has a process, especially kickers, when we talk about man in the arena, right? Your quarterback, the corner position, the punt return position, the kicker, right? Where all eyes are on you. And so when you're in those type of positions, you want to know what is the process, what's going through your mind, are you consistent in that? And so for Greg, it didn't really seem as though that process was really clear to me on how he went about everything that he did before that kick.
Yep.
And so we really started to dial in and being really consistent in what that process was. And so I think the biggest thing that I told him was, let's just treat every single kick as it's the same. So regardless if you're hitting an extra point or you're hitting a 58-yarder,
Yeah.
you should be kicking those kicks the exact same, because now we're starting to train the mind, the body, right? Where everything starts to become second nature. And so once he was able to really tap into that, and I could see it come to life, he was hitting over 90% clip going throughout OTAs and into the season. And so once I kind of see that process start to come to fruition and he really started to dial in, I'm like, okay, this guy, he's dialed in, and for sure this is going to be, and I still believe it's going to be the best year of his career.
Well, in first game, he hits a career long, 56. Now, I know he had some troubles with a couple of 56s against, but still confidence enough to try somebody.
Absolutely.
Not every team has that.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
And, the mental toughness for him to bounce back, after that mixed extra point. And, those kicks that he hit, the game winner that he hit, the 46-yarder, all 5 field goals were critical points that we had to have. And so for him to kind of come back after the extra point, mentally tough, and nail it through the uprights for the game winner, it says enough about, how much he's progressed from last year.
Matt, given last one, and given special teams is impacting these games positively every single week and in big ways, I'm going to share a nugget with you, and just put it in your metaphorical back pocket. The last time the Minnesota Vikings attempted a fake field goal, because that's about all we have left in our arsenal now, with the fakes and everything, is 2007. It was Chris Cluey throwing it to tight end Jeff Dugan. You were a senior in high school, I believe, Fayetteville, Georgia.
I was.
So that's how far back it goes. That didn't get to the end zone. 2006. Longwell to tight end Richard Owens. That's the last fake field goal touchdown the Minnesota Vikings have. And the reason I bring it up is to put it in your back pocket, but because the punter holder thinks, you go ahead and try a 56 and watch this dime left hash right boundary. Simply because he's just he's confident but not cocky, you know?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, with the Bears this week, fortunately, no Devin Hester. He's been out of the game for quite some time. Best of luck with these Chicago Bears. And it's always an honor sitting down and chatting with you. Thank you.
PA, I really appreciate the time. It's always a pleasure.
Matt Daniels, Special Teams Coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm Paul Allen. We thank everybody here at the Vikings Entertainment Network. That includes Carly Bonk and Curly Harris and Brett Blakemore with KFAN. Thank you for producing. Vikings and Bears, noon this Sunday on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network.
Awesome. Let's go.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, PA.
Yeah, for sure.
Easy.